Okay, so Joe Biden has another gaffe, and it's only a gaffe in so much as he just wasn't supposed to say this out loud, but he calls illegal immigrants Hispanic voters. This was in an interview that he did. We'll read a little bit about that, and then Chuck Schumer confirms that. This was in an older video, but we know that this is an intentional act. You can't allow this many people across the border without it being intentional, but they let it slip every now and then that, yes, we have to do this. We have to do it. And Chuck Schumer just outright says it. We have to do this for the future of our country. It's vital that we bring in illegal immigrants. Then we're going to talk about Cory Mills filing articles of impeachment against Joe Biden. And as if we didn't need more evidence of voter irregularities or ballot irregularities, Fulton County, Georgia, some big stuff going on down there that we're going to talk about. We've got that and so much more. I'm just going to run through this as fast as I possibly can and give you all the data that you need. Thanks for being here. Let's get into it. I'm Jared. This is Continue Freedom. Okay, welcome back to Continue Freedom. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. If you like the content, be sure to like, subscribe, leave some comments below. Watch it all the way through first, because we're going to cover quite a bit, not just the stuff that I hit in the intro. We'll cover a bit more. But let's go ahead and kick it off with Biden referring to mass illegal immigration as an influx of Hispanic voters. It's even a bigger influx. This is from the Post-Millennial. It's an even bigger influx now in terms of Hispanic voters or Hispanic citizens who want to become citizens, Biden said in an apparent flub. President Biden accidentally referred to Hispanic illegal immigrants as voters in an interview with a Spanish radio show on Thursday while discussing the ongoing crisis at the southern border. It's even a bigger influx now in terms of Hispanic voters. Of course, I just read that to you. Well, let's listen to the audio real quick. It's audio only, but we'll go ahead and listen to it just.
It's a little bit like back in the 1840s when the Great Exodus from Ireland because of the famine and the way Irish Catholics were treated. We said, no, we don't need any more of those folks. There's a large influx. There's even a bigger influx now in terms of Hispanic voters, Hispanic citizens.
Okay, so I know that was muffled audio, but that's the audio that they provided, and this was again from the Post-Millennial. So in the same interview, he likened the current immigration, if you couldn't hear it, the current immigration levels to the 1840s Irish migration to the United States due to famine and persecution. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is persecution. They're escaping these terrible situations. You know, a lot of these people are, yes, leaving bad financial or bad economic circumstances. They're leaving these broken, crappy countries and coming to America. But in most cases, these people voted to put in socialism. They voted to put in, if you talk about Venezuela or you talk about other South American countries, they voted for these people. This is what they wanted. They bought into the hype. They wrecked their country, and now they're coming to our country and are wreaking havoc. And the Democrat Party knows that this is, and that we the people aren't dumb enough to believe that this isn't because they need an influx of voters. In fact, Chuck Schumer tells us this right off the bat, and very openly and honestly. He tells us that this is because we don't have enough people in our country. The replacement rates are too low. We're not having kids, yada, yada, yada. Let's listen to Chuck Schumer tell us, straight from the horse's mouth.
We're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
However many there are here. Doesn't matter. Bring them all in. Bring them all in. We can handle it. Well, no, we can't. And the people we're getting are not the best and brightest. The people that we're getting they're leeching off of our system. They are getting more benefits than the average American, than the average veteran. They're getting more benefits from the federal government. We're pumping billions of dollars that we do not have into millions of people who will not conform to the American way of life. These are people who do not have shared values. On top of that, just from a security perspective, we are allowing people from China, people from the Middle East, people from North Africa, people from areas hostile to the United States into this country. And what are some of the ramifications of this? Well, let's look at a video. And when you combine illegal immigration with soft on crime policies from the Democrat Party, this is the type of thing that you get. Listen to this.
Had a warrant out for his arrest after police say in July he was found passed out in a stolen car. But even with 5 previous felony convictions, a judge released him days later. Then he failed to appear in court. He was arrested again in September and released again. He didn't appear in court in October, yet when he was arrested, he was released again. He has been on the run since and now faces more burglary and car.
So we're bringing in criminals. Those criminals are terrorizing the countryside. They're terrorizing we the people, making our neighborhoods less safe. And we continue to bring them in. And when we do catch them, we release them because it's somehow a travesty. It's an absolute travesty to let in people who do things like this.
Satanic statue in the apartment, and the gang members said they wanted to offer the beast a soul. Police say Hernandez Rivera and Alvarez Flores killed the girl execution style. Killers confessed to the crime after they were arrested. 22-year-old Miguel Alvarez Flores, there you see on the left, and 18-year-old Diego Hernandez Rivera on the right appeared in court this week. Now, according to HPD, most MS-13 gang members are in this country illegally. Satanic Statue.
Most MS-13 gang members are here illegally. So we are not bringing in the best and brightest. I'm all about immigration. Like, I love immigration. It's I do believe that it's part of what makes our country great. But this is the illegal immigration system where people assimilate and understand our Constitution. They understand our history. They understand our shared values, which, as I talked about yesterday, are being rapidly degraded. But as a general rule, we the people here in America have shared values. And that's not who we're bringing in. We're bringing in people like that. People that are terrorizing our neighborhoods, making us unsafe. And all the Democrat Party cares about is votes. The votes matter to them far more than your safety. Votes matter to them far more than the safety of your children. This is an acceptable level of death and destruction for the Democrat Party. And the elections, I told you we were going to talk about the Fulton County elections. And in Fulton County, we don't even have faith in our elections anymore. But in Fulton County, let me pull up this article here. Where did it go? Here we go. So again, this is from the Post Millennial. Georgia Fulton County reprimanded, get a little slap on the wrist by the election board after double counting ballots in the 2020 presidential election. And they appointed, thank you so much for appointing a monitor. So we got a hall monitor that works for the same government that couldn't get an election right, that couldn't count ballots properly. So the Georgia Election Board, which oversees how counties conduct elections in the state, voted on Tuesday to reprimand Fulton County after an investigation revealed that the county violated state law while conducting a recount of the 2020 presidential election. The board voted 2-1 to reprimand the county as well as appoint an independent monitor to oversee the 2024 election. According to the Georgia Recorder, the decision allows the county to avoid paying a fine or have the attorney general investigate. So 3,075 ballots were found to have been double counted and other irregularities reported, but investigators with the Georgia Secretary of State said they were unable to determine how many of the invalid ballots were included in the results that were used to certify the 2020 election. An important part of this, and I think I played the video yesterday, but Trump received. So Biden flipped the state in 2020, winning by just under 12,000 votes. So that 3,075, and the guy that I referenced in the video yesterday, I think he said 3,081. And that 3,081 votes was out of a subsect, not out of all ballots cast in Georgia. This was out of a small subsect of the ballots that they actually investigated. So when you extrapolate that out to the rest of it, it was well more than the 12,000 vote margin that Joe Biden won by. Well above it. And yet people don't want to talk about that. Because in Fulton County's initial results found that Trump received 137,240 votes out of 524,659, and Biden received 381,000. A recount requested by Trump's lawyers resulted in Trump gaining 7 votes and Biden losing 932. So they found irregularities of about 1,000 votes, and that was changed. This is why in-person, keeping it simple, in-person voting is the only way to be certain of the number of ballots cast. This is all these irregularities. We've almost excused it away as like, there's always some irregularities. There's going to be irregularities, but there's 360 million people in this country. Only about half of them actually vote. If we're lucky, we get about half. Maybe a quarter of the people will vote. Maybe 100 million people will vote. I forget how many voted in the previous elections, but if you say that half of the country votes, there's going to be a few thousand here and a few thousand there. Well, when states are being won by tens of thousands of votes, every one of those votes matters. And we the people need to understand that our vote is counting. We need to understand there aren't irregularities and issues with just counting bubbles. We can do it on the SATs. We can plug in bubbles and get immediate results. We can do it on a test. Why in the world can we not do it for inside of the most powerful constitutional representative republic in the world, the only constitutional representative republic in the world, but inside of our own elections? Why is that difficult? And there's always some irregular. Oh yeah, there's voter fraud. What are you getting into this weekend? We excuse it away. And on top of that, this video is probably going to be throttled or banned because I'm even talking about it. And one of my frustrations in the last election was that Republicans, a lot of the Republicans, the big R Republicans, the ones that I come out against every single week when I'm making a video, they excuse it away because they don't want people to lose faith in the system. And we know that the system is stacked against us. We know that the system is rigged, and that's what we're trying to fix. That's why you all waking up, exploring all this information is vital to the future of our country, because we don't want the system. We don't want the status quo. We don't want things to continue with a Uni-party, lording over us and controlling our speech, controlling our property, controlling our rights, and controlling our elections. We want to be able to put in the people that we believe will serve us, not lead us, but serve us as our elected representatives. And for that to happen, we have to have faith in the elections. Well, if you come out and say that the election is rigged, that the election is corrupted, then they lose all that power. Chaos ensues, and they don't want that chaos. That's the only reason. They're perfectly happy to lie to us to avoid the chaos that should ensue when we find out that our elections are rigged, when we find out that our votes are not being counted, or when we find out that fraudulent votes are being injected into the system to get the proper person elected that benefits the donors, that benefits the military-industrial complex, the scientific and technological elites. All of those people have to get their guy in because that gives them the access to money, power, influence, censorship. So this is what you extrapolate from 12,000, tens of thousands of voting irregularities or tens of thousands of irregular ballots. Extrapolate all that out to the crumbling of our system. So we have to be loud about it. If you find irregularities, if you're in Fulton County, then you got to be at the city council meetings. You got to be at the state house. You've got to be writing your representatives, your state representatives, raising Cain. Because you think the hall monitor that works for the Secretary of State, who, by the way, chock full of Democrats, do you think that they are going to be an effective monitor of the elections if they allowed it to happen once? What indication do we have that it's not going to happen again? Because it's the same corrupt system that's going to be monitoring itself. It makes no sense. No, thank you. Wow. So, in the Georgia election, we've got the Secretary of State actually coming out. I'm not going to play the video because that'll take me too long. I'm ahead of schedule right now, but I'm going to leave us a little room here at the end. So, when we talk about the President of the United States getting elected, we got this guy through fraudulent ballots and through all that other mess. But now he's being impeached. Cory Mills is finally the guy who's going to go and impeach Joe Biden. And, you know, for reasons that, you know, I get it. Like, do I think this is going to stick? No. But he's making a compelling case. He filed articles of impeachment against President Biden on Friday for soliciting a quid pro quo, with Israel by halting congressionally approved military aid to that nation. So when Congress approves it, the president can't override it. If they say, yes, we've approved this money to go out to this country, now President Biden is holding it back and saying, no, you're going to have to give me this. It's a tit for tat. So you give me this, otherwise I'm not going to give you the money. And Mills, he's released a statement that the articles of impeachment, which read, in violation of his oath to faithfully execute the office of president and to uphold the Constitution, President Biden abused the powers of his office by soliciting a quid pro quo, wow, if I could talk today, with Israel while leveraging vital military aid for policy changes. So this egregious action not only compromises the credibility of the United States, but also undermines the interests of our longstanding ally, Israel. Therefore, President Biden Biden's conduct warrants impeachment, trial, removal from office, and disqualification from holding any future office under the United States, Mills added in a statement. And what they did is they went back and pulled the articles of impeachment for President Trump, because if you remember, they said that this was a quid pro quo with Ukraine, which is why they impeached President Trump. President Biden said that told the Israelis if they go into Rafah, he's not going to release the precision munitions that we had promised them. So they're basically saying, well, you did it for President Trump, so now you're going to have to deal with it when we do this to President Biden for something that is actually a quid pro quo. The Ukraine situation was not a quid pro quo, but the Israel situation is. So, hey, he's influencing a sovereign nation's actions in a foreign conflict by leveraging munitions they need to fight in that conflict. And that is, in and of itself, quid pro quo. So, yeah, he should be impeached. There's a lot of other things he could probably be impeached for, but these are the same accusations made against President Trump, which resulted in his impeachment by Democrats. The same must happen for Joe Biden, which is why we're drawing up articles of impeachment now, Mills concluded in a statement to Fox. Now, do I think that they are actually going to impeach Joe Biden? No, I do not. I do not think they're going to impeach Joe Biden. I don't think that the big R Republicans, the Uni-partians, have the stones to actually go through with it. Plus, it's an election year. They don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. They don't want to kick up a bunch of dust and cause a big stink. I mean, how many euphemisms can I throw into one statement? But they just don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. And they're going to roll over just like they always do. The Democrats wouldn't. The Democrats would go for it 200%. They are relentless, and I admire their tenacity when it comes to attacking their political opponents. I think that the way that they go about it is obviously corrupt and illegal and horrible and deplorable. But at the end of the day, they are tenacious and they will go after it. The Republicans, they don't. They think that they're going to take us back to, normalcy, towards normality. I don't know which word to use, but they want to get us back to steady state operations inside of this country politically, where, yeah, everybody's got their opinions, but we're not really, yelling in the streets about it and all that kind of. And they think they're going to do that through kindness, through peace, through compromise, and that's just not the case. We've moved too far beyond that. We have political opponents who are willing to burn down entire cities, cause billions of dollars in damage for their political ends, and we think that we're going to have some rational conversation with them and just roll over and say, no, we'll be the peacemakers. No, we'll be the peace. We're not going to. I know the guy broke the law. I know the guy did all these unconstitutional things. I know the guy is influencing a foreign war using congressionally approved funds and munitions that are supposed to be delivered to our ally so that they can fight off a genocidal, cult of maniacs. But let's not ruffle any feathers. Jeez, Pete. So I personally don't think it's going to go anywhere. I hope I'm wrong because, the impeachment, when we talk about impeachment is great, but impeachment that has no teeth is just political theater. So if it has no teeth, it's simply political theater. And that's what it was with Trump. It was just to placate their base and to make their base excited that, oh, we can now put that in our headlines. The, twice impeached. I think he was twice impeached. I forget how many, but it doesn't matter. We impeached President Trump. He's been impeached. He's got 90-some felony counts against him. This is nothing more than political theater because none of those felony counts have actually stuck. They have been knocked down like dominoes, one after the other, inside the legal system. And the only way that they're able to make any headway is through corrupt judges. Not evidence, but corrupt judges. I mean, look at Engoron. He made his decision. The attorney general came out and said, before our case was decided, before it ever saw a day in court. That is a kangaroo court. That is wrong. That is corrupt. And that is not the way this country works. But I don't think that, no teeth. No teeth, but I applaud. I mean, there you go. Take a look. Cory Mills, nice job, man. I'm happy you're taking some steps, but I don't think that we have the support from any of the lukewarm, limp-wristed Republicans that should be siding with this. I don't think we have the support of enough of them to actually make anything happen. Now, I'm going to change gears slightly, and we're going to talk about some culture things, some culture war issues. And, when I talk about replacing yesterday I was talking about, we need to replace the Republican Party. We need to have a more conservative movement inside of this country. And I firmly believe that the Republican Party, figuratively, must die. It must go away. And we must restore it with people who actually believe in our constitutional representative republic, who actually believe in our Bill of Rights and our Constitution, and who believe that the freedoms and liberties, the constitutional representative republic model is the one that got us to where we are today, or at least I'll say where we were several years ago, and now it's being abused, but it made us the most prosperous, wealthy, and free nation on earth. And we need to replace it with people that are raised in conservative households, in the church in particular. But what are we doing? We are instead poisoning our youth. As I just showed you, Chuck Schumer was saying that, hey, we're not having kids. We're not replacing our population anymore. And he's right about that. We're not. And what are we doing with the people that we do have? Well, we are poisoning them. Look at this. Wet Dad, male lactation pills. We are saying that chemicals that cause a man to produce breast milk are safe and effective. This is in the UK, but make no mistake, this is coming to America. It will, if it's not already here. But we are saying we want to take these chemicals, pump them into men's bodies so that they can perform the act of a woman and breastfeed a child. This is lunacy. This is lunacy. This is, when I talk about the transgender movement, I talk about it being a legit mental health issue. Gender dysphoria has been something, it's been a thing for a really long time. And gender dysphoria is now, we're leaning into it. We're leaning into it saying, yes, let's give man breast implants and give him pills that will cause him to lactate so he can pretend to be a woman. Let's carve up the genitals of that man. Let's carve up the genitals of that woman. Let's remove a woman's breasts. So we're taking the breasts off women so they can pretend to be men. We're putting breasts on men and then giving them pills to make them lactate. And whatever chemicals are in that are being transferred to the youth of America. Now, this is, again, it's a small portion of the population, but it's a growing portion of the population. 20% of Gen Z, I believe it was Gen Z, is now claiming to be part of the LGBTQ community when it used to be a fraction, 1/2 of 1%. But we are normalizing things like this. This is the if you want to go biblical about it, when good becomes evil and evil becomes good. When it comes to abortion, as I talked about yesterday, abortion is child sacrifice. This is sacrificing a child on the altar of this new religion, and this new religion is the left, the whole leftist ideology. When it talks about abortion and LGBTQ and we don't get transgenderism and going down all of those rabbit holes, climate change, all of these things are taking on the same tenets as a religion. You are not just a person who questions climate change. You are a climate change denier. If you don't support LG, or you think that gender dysphoria is not something that should be leaned into, then you are a bigot and you are a racist and you are, all the detrimental terms that you can think of, all the terrible terms that you want to throw at somebody. And they approach it the same way as if you are, Islamophobic, right? If you say, well, I don't believe that Islam, I believe that it's closer to a cult, it's an ideology, than it is to a religion, even though it's, I got it, billions of people practice it, but the results of that religion have led to death and destruction all around the world. That's, Islamophobia is what they call it. But Islamophobia means I would be afraid of Muslim people, and I'm just not. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But they take on the tenets with leftist ideology of a religion. And so they are sacrificing children, they are carving up men and women, and they are poisoning people on purpose. It's kind of messed up. Not kind of messed up. It's absolutely horrifically messed up. Do y'all think that? Do you think we ought to be feeding pills to men so that they can breastfeed babies? I mean, if you think that's cool, if you think that's safe, I mean, it's never been, this is all new. So, I mean, I would love to see the scientific research on the long-term development of a child who has been fed by a man with, chemicals that causing him to lactate. I would be very interested to know about the brain development, the physical development, long-term health impacts of that sort of thing. No, we're just chucking it out there. We've accepted Mengele-like action, Mengele-like experimentation on people out in public, and we're putting these people on press conferences and putting them on major news networks. It's crazy. And what do we do to entertain ourselves? We say, well, we listen to our pop stars, by the way. And I wonder if this isn't part of, maybe this is some of the long-term impacts of some of this behavior. But listen to this. This is, I think her name is Suki. I forget her name. I don't know. Either way, listen to this interview. This is, wow. Talk about brain drain. All right, let's go here.
That's amazing. I didn't know that about you.
What do you know?
That you're a musician. But that's why I'm interviewing you today.
By the way, there's language.
So
There is language. So if you got kids around or, you don't like the language, earmuff. But listen to this.
musician. What the fuck that mean? Make magic or something? What is musician?
I think you're confusing that.
Yeah, I'm not no musician. I make music. I make music. And that's not all I do. I make music, I act. I'm a TV star too, a young mogul.
Just really quick, I think you're confusing.
I'm not confusing nothing because you don't know. You thought that all I was a magician or whatever the fuck you said.
See, that's what I think you think I said.
No,
I said musician, not magician.
I don't think, baby, I don't think. What is that? That's ghetto. I don't think. I know.
So you
think.
I didn't say magician, Suki. I said musician. And I think you are a musician.
No, baby, I do music.
So you just really quick, for the record, could you say you don't think you're a musician?
I'm not none of that.
But then after that, you just said I do music.
Yeah, I do music.
So in other words, you're a musician.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I've watched that in preparation for this show. I've probably watched that a dozen times. And I can't stop laughing at it. I can't help it. I just can't help it. So this is the golly, my eyes are watering now. This is the brain drain that we have. These are the people who are influencing our youth, influencing the future voters in our country. And this is what they want. They have to dumb us down, and they have to give us ignorant people as the ones that telling us how to vote, telling us how to. Goodness gracious! So maybe I believe that's the long-term impact of. I don't know if she was breastfed off of a man who was given pills, but I'm going to assume that the long-term health impacts are something like that. Wow. So on to a more serious note. When we talk about long-term health impacts, something strange that continues to happen, and I don't know if you all have noticed this or not, but I've literally read 100 articles about similar circumstances similar to this. Former MLB player, 43, dies suddenly while coaching his son's Little League game. And I don't know what could have caused this, but what causes this to continue to happen. But a former MLB infielder player who was a first-round pick with the Padres and an Olympic gold medalist has passed away from cardiac arrest while he was coaching his son's baseball team. Shawn Burough, 43, unexpectedly passed away from a reported cardiac injury while he was coaching his young son's game in California, per a statement from Long Beach Little League. It is with a heavy heart that I am writing this message to inform you that yesterday afternoon, one of our coaches, Shawn Burough, tragically passed away, the statement read. Shawn was a legend in LBLL and the baseball community for winning back-to-back Little League World Series championships for LBLL in 1992 and 1993. And the unexpected death of a former baseball player and coach comes as other reports of young athletes, coaches, healthy individuals have died because of heart attacks and other cardiac injuries. Isn't that that is an absolute shame. And it's weird. I mean, we don't know what could have taken place in our nation's history that would lead to all of these young, and see, we're only hearing about the young, healthy, the athletes, the people that have some reputation or have some, what's the way to put it, some level of fame. We are hearing about most of those, but others, how many others? How many others? Isn't that a great question? And I just happened to see this video. These are not my words. This is the words of someone else, and it hasn't been taken down yet. So I'm going to guess that it's okay to show. Let's listen to this guy right here.
Do you think people are now coming around? Because you've been fighting to have this debate for quite a while, haven't you?
Well, the evidence was pretty considerable 18 months ago when I first spoke out. I mean, it's overwhelming now. Every week there's more evidence. Paper out last week in Japan of a clear link now between people who've had the boosters and increased cancer. We know why. It's the SV40, the simian virus 40 promoter region that Pfizer didn't disclose are in their vaccines. I mean, there's a clear link with promoting cancer.
And so, are you seeing more MPs now than before coming to your side?
No, the MPs have got their hands in the blood up to their armpits, most of them. They'll have put out thousands, hundreds, if not thousands of letters saying that the vaccines are safe and effective over the last few years. There's a general election coming later this year, and they really just want to hold the line until after the general election, because there is, on both sides of the House, there's so much political capital that the vaccines are safe and effective, which they're neither safe nor effective. I was thrown out of the Conservative Party for tweeting that a leading cardiologist had said that the vaccine rollout is the biggest crime against humanity since the Holocaust. I'm afraid I think it's going to be bigger than the Holocaust, because I think we've got to be somewhere between 10 and 20 million people have been killed by these experimental vaccines worldwide, and it's still going up.
So that's his take, and it's not just him. I'll pull up more videos. If those doubters out there, the people who just completely buy into it, if you want to see them, I can pull up hundreds, if not thousands, if I spend enough time on it, videos of people saying the research shows X, we are being told Y. The research shows X, we are being told Y. Time after time after time after time, relation between these injectables and long-term health issues are becoming more and more obvious. Now, do I think that lottie-dottie everybody out there who pushed it was doing so out of malice or anything? No, absolutely not. It's a pandemic and people don't know what's going on around them. But one thing that we do know is experimental chemicals inside of people's bodies generally require a great deal of experimentation, a great deal of testing, a large number of trials before they are released to people, and we did it in 18 months. And there are a lot of people who say that just because President Trump did it, that's why they buy into it. President Trump didn't get everything right. President Trump's not going to get everything right in his final term. But at the end of the day, there are people who took it, a lot of people, hundreds of millions of people who took it, if not billions of people, some under like force. But the people that pushed it, they had no reason to question the medical establishment. They had no reason to question the pharmaceutical companies who they had relied upon for years. But we have to understand now that the pharmaceutical companies do not have our best interests in mind. The pharmaceutical companies are the same ones when I was talking about men taking pills to cause lactation so that they can feed their children. It's the pharmaceutical companies in the medical industry that are the same ones who want to turn these people into lifelong patients. Millions of dollars per person that they will get over the lifetime of that person in drugs, surgeries, medical upkeep. Our faith in that system should be waning right now, and our faith in that system should cause us to, our lack of faith in that system should cause us to question everything. We have to. That's how humans have it's one of our survival mechanisms, right? The reason that if you want to talk about Maoist China, or you want to talk about Venezuela, or you want to talk about Nazi Germany or Stalinist Russia, they have to shut down people's reflex and their desire to question things, because that's how you lose power, when people can question the source of that power. And so that's one of our survival techniques. We have to question everything, and so long as we have a First Amendment, we have to do it. Now, places like YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, they are shutting it down, trying to, left and right, but it's coming in such volume. The shouts from the rooftops that we have to be careful about what the government is telling us. We have to be careful about what federal healthcare professionals are telling us. That it's coming in such volume, they can't shut it down fast enough, and that's why a video like this still exists. 2 years ago, it wouldn't. 2 years ago, it would have been ripped down, and everybody would have said, this is absolutely nuts. But just like the 40-something-year-old baseball player who was coaching his kid's team and all of a sudden has a heart attack, a healthy guy, a healthy athlete, and soccer players left and right falling over, baseball players, basketball players, football players falling over, young kids in college keeling over, cardiac arrest, cancer, rise in cancer, rise in cancer, rise in cancer. We have to question it. It's how we survive. It's how we will survive. So for me, it's questioning the establishment. That's what it comes down to. The establishment has a narrative. The establishment has motives. The Uni-party has motives inside of America, and we have to question them. And more importantly, we have to, as I said yesterday, we have to start building this conservative movement. We have to start building this new movement to replace the Republican Party, build a movement that is focused on the Constitution, that is focused on our Bill of Rights, on people that believe in preserving our right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, people who don't believe in shutting down the doctors who were telling us, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. The compulsion of doctors is something that must be, right of conscience has to be protected for physicians, because there are people who will have varying opinions. There are people who have different morals. There are some amoral people or immoral people in the medical profession. There are Christians in the medical profession. And those Christians are the ones that are going to more closely align with the shared morals and values of our country. And the amoral people are the ones who are going to go ahead and chop off the genitals of kids and embolden them and say, yes, we need to lean into their mental health problems. And we're going to do so surgically. We are going to surgically intervene in kids' mental health problems. While as the Christians would say, no, this is not right. We are supposed to protect the children, help the children, not mutilate the children. So anyway, thank you all so much. That's the last. I'm going to close on that one. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below. We're on X, Locals, Rumble, and YouTube. And you can go to continuefreedom.com and sign up for my mailing list. That way, here in the next few months, when I start sending out some emails, I will have yours. And when I get canceled or banned or whatever, then, I'll still be able to reach out to you. But if you really want to just listen, go to Rumble. Go to Rumble. All right. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you in the next one.